Call me back later.
Hi, can you hear us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give us 1 second. I'm waiting on our other moderator to join.
Oh,
And just to get your pronunciation correct, is it Kyah or Kyah?
Kyah.
Kyah, okay. Nice to meet you, Kyah. Just give us 1 second before we start.
It's not letting me put the backdrop.
Do you know how to use the green screen option? You click on the camera, and then once you click on the camera, it should have down at the bottom it says effects. Click on effects, and then click on that green screen option. And then from there, when you click on green screen, it'll give you options to select what picture that's in your gallery.
I'm looking all through these things.
Okay.
Maybe I'm too old to be using TikTok.
Okay, do you see effects?
So I clicked on my face.
Okay, so after you click the camera option, it opens up down at the bottom. It says enhance or
Oh, I
effects.
see, I see, I
Click
see, I
on
see.
effects.
There it is.
Yeah, and then now you can pick.
Perfect. Awesome,
Okay.
awesome.
Okay. All right, and then we're going to wait for our other moderator. So once we do that, then we'll put you in the bigger screen to the left.
All
Okay?
right, awesome. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, everyone, welcome in. Go ahead and tap the live, share the live out to everybody, sing your daily heart me's. And then repost to your page, and then also share it out to your stories. So do all the good things for us, please. Hi, blessings.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up, Blessing?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Okay. All right, let us know whenever you're ready. You ready, blessings? Got everything squared away?
Yes, I'm going to
Okay. Are you ready, Kyah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Our Vote Counts Town Hall. I am your moderator, Jaz B. Flower, and of course, I have with me Blessings, who's moderating with me as well. Hello, Blessings.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, so for those who are not familiar with our vote counts, we are a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, accountability, and in the upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates, our vote counts represents the strength and unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is still the same. So to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote truly counts, our vote counts is more than just a name. It's a promise, a movement, and a rally cry for democracy. So together we're shaping the future one informed vote at a time. So today we're joined by Kyah Creekmore. Kyah is a Democratic candidate running for the U.S. House of Representatives for North Carolina's 5th Congressional District. That district consists of parts of the northwestern part of the state, which is the counties of Alexander, Ashe, Caldwell, Guilford, Rockingham, Stokes, Surrey, Watauga, and Wilkes. So we'll be taking questions live from you all, of course, and getting to know the candidate's background and also learning more about the district. So, Kyah, if you're not familiar with our format of the town hall, so after each set of topic questions, we will allow one person to come up and ask you a question. If there's no one in the queue, then we'll take some questions from the chat for you to answer. So is that good with you?
Cool.
All right, and also we'll have some fun breaks in between to ask you some fun rapid fire questions. So stick around for that as well. So,
All right.
Kyah, yeah. So we've learned that you were raised in North Carolina and you attended North Carolina A&T University studying industrial systems and engineering. And also, what's more important is that since you're at the age of 25, if elected, you'll be one of the youngest members of Congress. But for those who are meeting you for the first time, tell us about what moment or experience that made you say, okay, it's time for me to run for Congress and offer a vision for North Carolina's 5th District.
Number one, I actually was not raised in North Carolina. I came here when I was 16. So I've been here around 9 years. But yeah, I was just going to school, doing what college students do, playing video games, doing homework, whatever. But I was starting to pay attention a little bit more to our politics. I was election years coming around. I started seeing some interesting content I liked, and I was knowing that Donald Trump was not great the first time. Obviously, we didn't want him the first time, but started paying attention a little bit more. I was not young enough or old enough to really care at the level I should have. But when this happened, Donald Trump won again, broke all our hearts when Kamala lost. And I was just sitting there just baffled that we did it again. And I started getting really upset that all I was doing was complaining on TikTok, complaining on Instagram, writing little comments on my phone. And that wasn't enough. And I was like, Donald Trump made me think in my own mind, if he can go and become a rapist, he can become the greatest, most horrible person we've ever seen and get the highest office in the land 2 times. Why can't I go and represent some people one time? Why can't I go and stand on real morals and values, have moral clarity, speak my mind, and speak up for the voiceless when I'm already doing it for myself with my friends? They were tired of hearing me talk about it. They are not very political. But I'm like, this stuff is important. So I was like, let me go and ensure that more people know that we should be voting. We should know what's going on. And we need to get active and activated. And that was the goal. So I started pondering this as a joke while I was working at Target, asking people the question would you vote for me? Ha 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 ha. People are honestly, genuinely yes. You're youthful. You probably have some good ideas. We need some new blood. And upon hearing that repetitively, constantly, I was like, this might be something I actually think about. And this was back in December. It was right before Christmas, right after Christmas, started January. And people started asking me actually good questions about what do you believe in? I can't just vote for you. I'm like, okay, so we got some educated voters here. So I started actually developing a platform. and learning what I liked, what I wanted to run on, what was important to the country at the moment. And I kept developing it until I felt very confident that I could actually have these conversations just with random people in Target lines. And I've just been developing ever since. And then I started getting out into organizations and the community, and just really networking in ways that I've never done ever in my life. And now we're here. We've actually filed, and it's awesome. I mean, that was the whole backstory to this. It started as a joke to a heartbreaking moment in American history with Donald Trump winning. So
That's awesome. I love that story. And so I just want to ask you a quick icebreaker question before we get down to the tough questions. So if you could invite three people to your dinner table, it can be living or someone that has passed away. Tell me, who would it be and why?
that's a great question I've never thought about. Just truly an intellectual in every sense of the word, an inspiration. I think MLK as well. I mean, I'm picking out the big guys, of course, but I think he had a lot of really, really important knowledge in regards to the institutions and how they function and all those things in between. He was a socialist and some other things. So those are really important people to dig into their minds, because they were doing it for years and years. Like the amount of knowledge they consumed and was outputting to the public to rally so many people behind them, absolutely phenomenal stuff I could intake. And then the third one, I don't know.
It could be family. It don't have to be prominent. Yeah.
I think probably my dad, because he would be a very sensible and logical about everything. Like I would probably be like, oh my god. He would be like intaking that and helping me synthesize it very well so that we can move strategically, because that's often how he even talks with me about stuff now. Like he'll just see a good news line. He's like, yeah, you should speak on this. Yeah, look at this. They're being very contradictory here. You have a good message you can run here. And I think that would be an awesome third person, especially since they're so close to me. I mean, it'd just be a good collaborative effort right there.
I didn't catch the first person. So you said the second person was MLK and your dad. Who was the first person? Malcolm X. Okay.
Malcolm X.
All right, that's a good lineup. All right. So with that being said, thank you for answering that with the icebreaker. I think that's a great lineup that you said that you could bring to your dinner table. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll it over to Blessings to talk about economic development.
All right. So first, many rural communities in the 5th District have lost jobs and businesses, leaving fewer opportunities for young people and families. What specific actions would you support to bring sustainable jobs and investments back to rural towns in the district?
Well, number one, I think the most important legislation we could pass as soon as we get a Democratic majority that isn't fully capitulating to corporations and APAC and all that good stuff, Medicare for all, but an extended version that includes like rebuilding hospitals, expanding current services at hospitals, and filling up the medical deserts that currently exist in many rural communities. They have to drive 30, 40 an hour just to get any type of care, and making sure that we're allowing that local builders and construction sites, mom and pop type of businesses, to have the money and the allocation, the funding, the programs to be able to help rebuild those hospitals or expand current services and be a part of that rebuilding of their own cities and local communities. Having a bunch of those jobs lining up for not just like giving doctors the ability to just do their job. Obviously, we all want that, but we want our communities to invest in their own selves as well and have the opportunities there. Having those extra programs and getting our many, many, many students to stay in district, because a lot of them are outsourced through these different trade jobs like electrical work and plumbing, whatever. Having all those go hand in hand, I think would spur a lot of economic development. Now, obviously, we need to do a lot more than that, but that's the number one legislation I want to push. And I want to make sure that we're having more than just removal of the healthcare contraband or gang members that we currently have, stopping people from getting the actual care. We need to be doing a little bit more than that. Obviously, it's great to be able to walk to a hospital, not worry about a bill, but it's also great to be able to build that hospital with your friends and family or whoever that you've known for a long time and get paid well for doing it. And then get to experience the fruits of your labor. Like that would feel absolutely awesome. And stuff like that are the kind of ideas that Congress should be thinking about. But right now, they don't have that kind of creativity. So it's up to us to go walk in there and give it to them. Or at least have the general public start pushing it at them where they can't do anything but talk about it now.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Sounds like a dual project, economy and healthcare. Let's see. Local small businesses struggle to compete with large corporations that dominate the market and rising prices. How would you help small and local owned businesses grow and survive in the 5th District's economy?
Number one, we would start removing many of the subsidies that these corporations are getting, because right now, us, the taxpayers, are paying thousands out of our paychecks to subsidize mega ultra corporations that make billions in profit, not even just net revenue, profit, all money that they can use for whatever they want. They don't give it back. We need to start allocating subsidies only in the event that they're actually giving back in fruitful ways. And you can't just donate to a random nonprofit. No, we need to see real work being done and you building community connection. If you're going to come and take a large portion of the economy for local communities, you need to be giving back to that local economy and community. There's underfunded schools. Why aren't you doing more with the schools, right? So we should start making the incentives to be that we connect those corporations to the local economy. Number two, whatever we're taking away from the corporations, we should be directly giving as programs and stipends or subsidies for the local government or the small businesses. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. Local businesses should be getting these programs so they can start building and expanding their own infrastructure. If we had affordable healthcare, businesses would not have to compete on whether or not they can provide healthcare. They can just do what they do. What are you selling? Focus on selling that. What are you providing as a service? Focus on the service, not whether or not you can give this or that benefit to a select group of employees. That should not be what the incentive is whether or not you're getting benefits. It should be whether you can provide the best product or service to your community and then build on that. Making sure that our small businesses are in direct lines of communication with our government. It seems like they're always iced out. They just deal with whatever government's doing. They should have a lot more say than they do because they're vital parts of the community. Imagine if many of those businesses didn't exist. What are we all going to walk into a CVS and Walmart and Target? It probably wouldn't be that thriving of a community. Everyone would be very individualized. So those small businesses are really what connects people in many ways that we don't give them credit for. So getting them proper representation, giving them a proper voice, and really adding them to the room because they are the heart and soul, honestly.
Okay, thank you. Before I ask the next question, I just want to let the audience know that if you have a question or you would like to, you can put it in the chat or you can request up. So my last question will be, some areas of the district lack reliable broadband, transportation, or modern infrastructure, limiting, oh, sorry, one second. Some areas of the district lack reliable broadband, transportation, or modern infrastructure, limiting economic growth. How would you invest in infrastructure to create jobs and expand economic opportunities across the entire district?
So while I've also added this part to my People's Healthcare Rescue Act, essentially the extended version of Medicare for All, I wanted to implement a program called EYES Task Force. It stands for Ensuring Your Essential Services. The whole point is so that we have people that have been through the worst of the worst, right? Through natural disasters, from a building burning down, whatever it is. People that have gone through it that are now in the community creating organizations to fight for it outside of government infrastructure, outside of government, purview. they're able to actually get a job, being able to report on, start organizations, and hold our elected officials accountable, and have the stories that aren't talked about and lift the voices that don't have the platform to speak themselves. Like, many people are going through the worst of the worst in our healthcare system. How many stories do you see on Fox News? How many of our people in our government are even talking about any of those stories? Will name you a name and what they've gone through. Probably not many. And so the whole point would be to start shining a light on all of our governments, local, federal, or otherwise, so that we start making sure that they're feeling the pressure to do what's right every single time. Because now you have someone that's always looking. And there are people that actually care about it. Like, they're not just like some random people that have like a nice resume. It will specifically target people that don't have or haven't had the opportunity prior and have gone through something, and make sure that at least the majority of those people are those people that have gone through something. Number two, I actually developed a proposal called the Armor Act. And essentially that was specifically to design a system that has the local governments working in tandem with our small organizations. Like in Hurricane Helene, Asheville is still in shambles. Donald Trump over here is stopping going to FEMA to help that out, right? Or at least not as much as we need. And so there are already organizations that are doing invaluable work, learning that already know the lay of the land, that knows where the problems are, where they persist, and likely have even developed proposals and different ideas for how to fix it. But the problem is that we don't work with them. Like, if you see in Chicago, they're trying to stop crime by having the Chicago police work in tandem with the local organizations that have been trying to get into the hearts and souls of each of the households. They know the aunties, the granddads, the uncles, the dads, the brothers, whatever. Those people talk to and work with those people that might have issues, that might have problems, might shoot a gun at some point, way before something actually goes off, and then a police officer has to respond to a murder, right? They've already developed a system and have been funding those that networking between the organizations, local government, police. And we need to do the same thing in regards to infrastructure. We don't do that. And we always seem to want to just throw money at stuff instead of actually just working with the people that are affected and have been coming up with solutions, the actual experts on the ground. We want to work outside of them and then use it for political gain and like our own political resume. Like, look at what I did, rather than look at what we did. And that's just fundamentally wrong. And if we're shifting how we think of solving problems, I believe that we're going to start seeing development so much faster, so much better than what we've been seeing. And that's just how I've been thinking of that problem.
Okay, thank you. It seems like you have a lot of collaborative ideas. We do have one
government.
We have one question in the chat. Somebody wants to know your thoughts on North Carolina Republicans in Raleigh cutting voting sites at HBCUs in North Carolina.
If you actually check my TikTok or my Instagram, it's been going a little viral. I mean, not too crazy. I mean, TikTok's like 1,000 views, but I've already talked about it. Essentially, they're cutting that because they're scared. They're already seeing the writing on the wall that they're going to be voted out of office, even while they have some of the most gerrymandered districts you could ever see in any state map, while also not even putting forth any budget, right? They are so unpopular. Their policies suck. They're tremendously unpopular. People do not want what they're selling, and they know that. And so even with the overflow room after overflow room after overflow room, the current room, they could not be bothered to pretend to care. When our people, our students from A&T actually were in the room asking, like, what is even the reason? Give us a reason for what you're doing. They're like, we're going to have a fun recess for 5 minutes. And if you're still here and you're holding up our meeting, we're going to call the cops. So that tells you what they actually think of what our students have to say, what our Black and brown community is going to have to deal with, and what they're doing to the largest HBCU in the nation. They don't care, and they're really scared. So they're going to go through with it anyways, regardless of how much backlash, how much news and publicity they're going to get for it.
All right, I hope that answers your question in the chat, and I'm going to pass it back to Jaz.
Okay, Kyah. So we're going to go ahead and talk about healthcare. So, a lot of people may not know is that the North Carolina 5th District residents participate in the Affordable Care Act. About 95% of them in your district do. And they particularly rely on the premium tax credits to afford the coverage. With those facts about that, how would you protect families from major premium spikes if those credits expire? We know, of course, that there was legislation that extended it for another 3 years. But if that was the case, tell me what would your thoughts to be in order to propose it to extend another set of years again. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Number one, we use that moment, that absolute fear. We use the moment that we just experienced, what it could have been like to have no care anymore, to essentially have your care outpace your rent payments, right? What that moment would feel like if they didn't extend it just a week ago. We use that, and then we start pushing forward Medicare for all, universal health care, whatever the plan is. We get it to fruition by actually organizing together, holding town halls, holding so many different forums or what have you, putting out content, make it the entire topic of conversation. I wanted to actually create a people's assembly, which is essentially a hybrid town hall where it wouldn't just be like, hey, I'm Kyah, vote for me. This is what I'm standing for. That's all I wanted you here for. Essentially, it'd be a listening session. It'd be me also introducing myself, building actual relationships. But then also we would have separate rooms. So we would have some kind of function where it would be a whole section of this town hall is dedicated and predicated for people that are affected and have been affected by these services, not actually working for us. Like, yeah, I have Medicaid. I still had to pay $6,000 or whatever the situation is. I got cancer. My healthcare from the ACA, it's still costing $8,600 at the end. Oh, I owe $300,000. I couldn't even get it. I actually have stage 4 cancer now. I want to platform those stories and give them their own dedicated social media, whatever it is, so that now these stories can go viral. Like other people across the country can okay, I'm white, but this black guy actually is dealing with what I'm dealing with. And it starts to build and mend divides where people felt like, well, I don't care what you got going on. Well, dang, I actually have that exact same story. That kind of sucks, right? And you feel a little connection because we're all humans at the end of the day. And what they do is try to divide us. And this would mend that connection through story, through the power of pain and trauma, but also through the power of relatability. Yeah, I'm going through what you're going through and I feel for you. And then elevating that so that social media can be the new media. Corporate media, unless they're starting to do what we're doing at our town halls, what we're doing on our social media, they're going to start being obsolete. And people are going to start talking about whatever we're going to name this social media channel. And we're going to allow the conversation to be pushed forward so much better because I won't have to go and talk about this list of names. They can go ahead and speak for themselves. Here, I went to, let's say, Westford. I wanted to go talk to what they're going through with their coal mines and the black lung disease they're getting. And let them do it themselves. Yes, I've been talking about this for 10 years and my local government hasn't been doing nothing. And they'll pour it out. That's what I'm trying to do. I believe that when we do our jobs well to connect with our communities and share their stories and platform them way higher than they've ever been and make those the stories instead of whatever some kind of news organization that wants to make money wants to name that story. Oh, this guy died from stage 4 cancer. This guy, instead of allowing these news corporations to do what they want, we can do it ourselves. Platform everybody and then start pushing the conversation towards whatever we want. And then once we make one win, we don't stop. We allow that pressure to keep going. And then that way, we can continue to get wins. And we stop allowing, polling for this is 70%. No, all the conversation is about this. All of the conversation. We are not stopping. Election reform. We already got Medicare for election reform. Let's get election reform so that we can have more than one party. We can have actual ballot access for all people. We'll make it accessible for this, accessible for that. Whatever the issue is, all we will do is push and platform and organize and talk. We won't allow them to drive the conversation in the narrative anymore. That's what I think. That was a little long-winded, I'm sorry.
You still on mute.
I can't hear you. You're muted.
Jaz, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was muted. Sorry. You touched on a lot of stuff that we're going to also talk about later on, so you're fine. We're going to just go more in depth. So this question is more specifically regarding women's health and healthcare. So women, particularly those with high-risk pregnancies, report gaps in prenatal and postpartum support. How would you work to improve maternal
Those with high risk, you cut out for a second.
Oh, yes, I'll repeat the question. So women, particularly those with high-risk pregnancies, they report gaps in prenatal and postnatal support. How would you work to improve maternal health care outcomes and ensure continuous care before and after childbirth?
Number one, we have to actually acknowledge that there is an issue with it. There is medical racism. We have to acknowledge the fact that the same reasons that some white people go into being police, to go and police black and brown people, arrest them, do whatever. White women have also done that. There is a lot of medical racism and a lot of the issues, a lot of the concerns that black women, black people, brown people in general bring up. They're not taken as seriously. They're not made solutions for. They're not taking into consideration what we're going through and think they know better than us, the people that are living. And so that's number one, acknowledging all of that as it is, very plainly, having all of the information and statistics to back it. So there's no question. Number two, we have to make sure that it is absolutely not something we can legislate anymore than what we already have. We need to get rid of all the Supreme Court, ingrain it into law for abortion access, right? We need to be able to do what we have to do because that is healthcare. Period, point blank. If someone's about to die, they should not be wondering if I'm going to lose my license if I do this absolutely pivotal surgery to remove the baby or the whatever is the issue. We need to make sure that that is a full law. Number three, we need to actually get all people in the room talking about healthcare providers, actually people that are in the room doing the work. We need to have them talking about what the issues are and how they've seen that the system is leaving gaps for people to be disproportionately harmed. Like we're seeing in rural communities, Black women have 4 times worse mortality rate when giving birth, just because it's so far and because there's medical racism involved as well. We have to get these people in the room. We have to talk about what they're actually experiencing themselves and get a lay of the land of every single part, because we can't make a system that that fixes all the issues for every part. If we're only talking about the overline, we're going to get single payer healthcare. No, we need to have a single payer healthcare that talks about this. And it has to be just as robust as their 3,000 page big, beautiful bill, right? It needs to be just that good. That's how we should be talking about that. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, absolutely. And I just a quick follow up. So, typically people in the Gen Z generation, they're getting into politics, and once again, thank you for just you being courageous to step up and run for Congress. But do you hear a lot of disinformation and misinformation around this topic when it comes to women's health and women's choice? Can you speak to that? Whenever you hear that type of misinformation, how do you tend to combat that when it comes to women's health care being misinformed and disinformed?
I think I haven't honestly heard a lot of information about it. Maybe it's just my TikTok algorithm. Maybe it's just my Instagram algorithm. But I often am hearing the stories of Black women that are affected, Black people, brown people, whoever. I'm not hearing as much of the disinformation of whatever they're talking about. I'm not in those spaces. What I will say is that anytime I do hear something like that, or people trying to put a narrative that that's not the case, I will combat that, because if you look at my whole platform on universal health care and women's bodily autonomy, there's a whole section talking about how much Black women in particular are affected in the disproportionate rates at which they die and are going through serious injuries just going to do regular stuff like have a baby, going for a regular check-in because their white doctor doesn't want to actually check out their issues and just hand them some pills. There's so many different issues going on in our healthcare that are a problem. And I think making sure that we're just holding people accountable when they're saying it, whenever they're saying it, and having that information handy, I think that's how we're going to counter that.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so I will allow anyone who would like to come up and ask Kyah a question regarding healthcare. Feel free to come up. In the meantime, there was a question in the chat that says, how do you feel about more registered Republicans voting that outweighs the Democrats in North Carolina right now?
I think that's perfectly fine. Why do I say that? Because both parties suck. Let's be honest. Both parties do not represent Kyah Creekmore, Jaz B, Blessing. They are not for us. They don't speak to our needs unless they want to fundraise for money. They don't want to actually come and talk to the community unless they want to fundraise for money. They don't want to push out legislation unless it's coming from a corporation. So I understand completely. And further than that, how do they feel about independents outweighing both of them? Independents are the largest majority. Independents exist because they don't feel tightly knit in either side, because either side you choose, they're going to choose a corporation in the public doing worse every single time. Just like in Stokes County, full MAGA Republican commissioners. They just voted against the entirety of Stokes County, it seemed like. It was like 300 people there. Every room was filled. People were outside with a projector. And we're all screaming at the top of our lungs, no, we don't want it. They're putting an AI data center right there in Stokes County. They absolutely didn't want it. And what did they do? They listened to the corporate suits for like an hour. Everyone's complaining, why are they getting so much time to talk? While they only gave the people that live there 1 hour, 2 minutes apiece. So 30 people out of all those people that came got to speak and talk about all the different issues they would have, how it's going to affect their land specifically. They're even giving them civic lessons because they're like, well, you got to talk to the community. Like they're not elected officials that should already know how to do that. Then they voted against them. They heard all of it. They seen all of it. They had all the information, all the statistics. They heard all the lies directly from the corporations. They still had signed the NDAs long before we got in the room. They knew about the AI project, didn't tell us till months later. And then after all the public backlash, after all the conversations that were surrounding it up until the meeting, they still didn't do so. They did not vote in our interest. So I believe that that's okay. There can be more Republicans than Democrats. There's still more independents, people that do not feel tightly knit, and they need someone that actually speaks to both sides as humans, because we can all disagree while agreeing on the destination. We don't have to agree on the path to get there as long as we have the right destination in mind. That's it.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay, so I will go ahead and roll it over to Blessings to talk about public education.
Okay, great. So schools in part of the district struggle with teacher shortages and high turnover, especially in rural areas. What would you support at the at the state level to help retain, recruit, and fairly pay teachers in a district like yours?
Number one, at the highest level, we need to actually be making sure that we're paying our schools, all of our schools across the United States, enough money so that every single teacher can make 6 figures, period, point blank. There should be enough money there so that each and every single teacher can make 6 figures. That would not be a tremendous jump in our budget. That you know what I'm saying? Maybe $100 billion. We already spend $1 trillion on our military to essentially just be there, to do random strikes in Venezuela and still presidents. We already have our money doing absolutely nothing. We can have it go from doing nothing to doing a whole lot directly in our communities with the people that have our children the longest. Number two, actually focusing on getting representation that doesn't just talk about like how we have schools that aren't funded, but actually make it the entirety of their platform, a pillar, if you will, maybe one or two or three of them, make it one of them, and make it so that they are only talking about that along with those other two things every time. And they advocate for it, and they actually propose legislation that's going to fix it. There was a city, I forget where it was, maybe Arkansas or something, where they put solar panels on top of their schools. It made sure that the school was not taking in no more electricity from like the grid. That was lowering costs and giving them a surplus in budget. Why don't we do this to every school? Rural or not, we can do this to every single school. Instead, they want to put solar panels in somebody's backyard and then have them complain and then say, well, we tried. We need representation that actually wants to think outside of the box, that actually understands where our world is right now, 2025, what we can do to change the issues that we have and propose real solutions. It starts with actually electing people and being involved in that civic process and being an informed voter that can hold your elected officials accountable. You can't hold them accountable if you don't even know what to hold them accountable for. You don't even know what the issues are and what they can do to fix that. If you're not voting in people that actually would want to fix it after you vote them in and hold them accountable, right? It's all a circular process, but it starts with having a federal government that stops prioritizing bombing children in other countries and focuses on teaching our children in this country.
Thank you for that. I just want to tell you, you have to use TikTok friendly language. You're saying some, so you gotta say like unalive or like boom boom. Act like you're talking to like a 5-year-old. Okay.
Okay, my bad.
No, you're fine. So not all students plan to attend four-year college, but many want strong career options after graduation. What role should the federal government play in expanding career and technical education, apprenticeships, and trade programs for students in North Carolina?
Say it one more time, please.
Okay. So not all students plan to attend four-year colleges, but many want strong career options after graduation. What role should the federal government play in expanding the career and technical education, apprenticeships, and trade programs for students in North Carolina?
The federal government has a pivotal role. Like I said, obviously we fund these schools. We should be making public colleges, 2-year community colleges, all those institutions absolutely free because we have the money to do it. So that would disincentivize not going to college because you don't have the opportunity. Going to college just allows you to open your mind and expand your network. You're going to college with so many other people that are also having big dreams, big aspirations. Sometimes you don't even know what you want. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're going. But you go there and then you rack up $30,000 in debt. Some people will see that writing on the wall and they're like, I don't want to not know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to go at all, right? They don't see the benefit of the networking. They don't see the benefit of the opportunity of how many different majors you can think about, all that kind of stuff. So we need to reduce the incentive to just not go at all based off of how much debt you might have as a result. Number two, we need to be actually building relationships with those community colleges. We need to actually go to them and see what kind of programs they provide and how we can those give back to the community that they're in. Like I was saying before, a lot of our students actually get outsourced. So looking at a lot of the programs that we have and where there's a lot of shortages, like I'm pretty sure nationwide, electricians, plumbers, all the trades, they're in an extreme shortage because we don't talk about trades whatsoever. We talk about becoming a scientist, a chemist, an engineer, rocket scientist, what have you. It's never the basic stuff. Yeah, I need someone to do my plumbing. That makes good money. We need it. But when do we talk about it? When do we advocate for those kind of jobs to be the forefront? When do we start getting involved in our community and telling the community about different programs? I was thinking about how in our city government, we don't ever hear anything, like any city I've ever been in. I don't see anything about what the city's doing, what events are being held. Where can I learn about this program that's going on? I don't know where to find this stuff. And if I can't do this as a social media savvy Gen Z, How are older people doing it? How is a 35-year-old man going to do it? He doesn't be on TikTok and Instagram very often. How is he supposed to do that? So it's up to our local governments to be putting that information in the forefront, in the purview of everybody that lives there. Because a lot of times there is programs. They just don't tell you about it. And then they say, yeah, this is what we did this year. And, you know, they use vague numbers to puff up what their political resume looks like and what they've done throughout the year so they can get their reelection. That's the problem. We have people that are not focused on getting their constituents to the programs that they're creating. They're not making sure that the people know what's going on so that they can get involved. They can feel like they're a part of the community. They feel like that there is opportunity out and about. We are the third largest city in Greensboro. If I can't find it here, third largest city in North Carolina, with it being Greensboro. If I can't find that stuff in Greensboro, then what are other people doing in Watauga County, in Alexander, right? That's the kind of conversations we need to be having.
All right, thank you for that. It looks like we have somebody on the panel. Sianka, welcome. You may ask your question.
Hi, everybody. Hey, ladies. How you doing? Looking gorgeous tonight. How you doing, Kyah? I live in North Carolina. I'm in District 9, but I live in Whole County. So two things. For public education, can you elaborate more in detail of what you would improve in the public education, like in areas that are poor versus the areas that have money, and that to help to have these funding programs? What would you do to increase funding in poor counties or in poor areas in your district?
So, number one, I think that funding schools based off the property value, but not having an equitable system to tax property, that's number one we have to be working on. So I was thinking of a progressive tax rate. So let's say your house is worth $76,000, you live in a trailer, but you own it, you know? Maybe you pay a little bit, you actually might get a refund for your taxes for your house. Or maybe it's under the normal rate. Then you get to 170,000. It goes like 150 to 250 is the house. That's a normal tax rate. Then it's like 250 to 400,000. Now it goes a little bit above that. And then after that, you start getting into a much higher tax rate just because those people obviously have plenty of money to go ahead and buy this large, super expensive house. They should be able to pay a little bit more in taxes. So that not only are people that are getting squeezed already can give back more because they have more money in their pocket, but then the taxes are getting proportionately distributed to each household, and then the city has more money to work with, and then we can start working on where we're sending that money. Number two is we need to start actually focusing on those lower, more impoverished communities. We don't talk about them at all. We just say that they're bad schools, they have a C grade, whatever. I don't think that's great. We also have a really bad curriculum. It does not teach proper history. It does not like to talk about Black history as though it's American history. We have a problem with our curriculums in general. So it's a multifaceted issue. I think that, like I said before, we need to be providing funding enough for every school to have teachers that are given dignified wages, whether or not they're in a poor community or not. We should have the money available, and then start electing representatives that are going to make proper decisions. Like I believe we just voted in our new superintendent of North Carolina. I think he has a great vision. He's talking about all the issues that we currently have, how we're not even funding our school or our children per capita. We're funding them the worst of every single state, including Arkansas, which is 50th in education. We're 16th. We're funding ours the worst. That makes no sense. We have a 30-year Supreme Court decision. They've reinstated that decision 4 different times, included, I believe, in 2022. And they said every time, you guys owe our public schools $1.5 billion. Where's the money? Get them the money. Our legislators can't even give us a budget, let alone give our schools the money. So we have a multifaceted issue right now that we need to take proper steps to even get the first parts of governing correct before we can finally start investing in our impoverished communities. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but there's a lot going on in North Carolina right now, so it's a little complex.
You kind of, but not really, but that's okay. My next one is about here in Hope County, we have like a thing called CTE, Certified Technical Expertise. I think that's what it is. But right now, they have companies out in our area calling our high school students to volunteer for whatever position that they're interested in. So I don't know if that's what in District 5 is doing with their high school students. So would you have any information about how high schools are preparing our students for, adulthood or, to get into job, get into employment, things of that nature?
I would say currently, I can only speak to my recent history. Having went to Mecklenburg County, I was in West Meck. I didn't see a lot of opportunities in West Meck. West Meck is one of the worst schools in Charlotte, if not the worst school. It's known for everything that's not education related, including fighting. I didn't see a lot of opportunities. Now, I was in AP classes. I had all the honors classes, whatever. But even with that being said, I only seen a very few select organizations like TRIO that were providing opportunities for students to be outside of their high school, looking at real opportunities for jobs and stuff like that. So I haven't heard a lot about what they're doing for our high schools. So that's actually that's something great that I need to be looking into. So I can answer that way better for you next time.
That's fine, yeah, because they just started doing that this year, where the principal at Hope County is asking businesses and local communities who wants to tie in with our high school students. So when they're like in a junior year or even like sophomore year, they can get their feet wet and know what it's like to be, in a responsible world of adulthood. So, and I hope more schools do that. I hope more districts do that with their high schools. But thank you for answering my questions. Thank you, ladies. You have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank you for your
Bianca.
questions.
All right, I am going to pass it back to Jaz for rapid fire.
All right, yes. So, Kyah, I mentioned that earlier that we're going to do a rapid fire set of questions. So this is going to kind of test how quick you can be in the way you respond to these questions. So, you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Regarding healthcare, should prescription drug prices be federally capped?
Absolutely. We should actually have the best drug prices in the world. Every other nation is paying less than us in pretty much every single drug. We don't have any agency that's capping them, and that's a problem.
All right.
Absolutely.
This is just quick response.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Regarding worker rights, should workers have the legal right to unionize without employer interference?
Absolutely. And I've been developing a workers' bill of rights that I want to implement when I get in office.
Okay. Yes or no? Regarding housing, should rent price gouging be regulated?
Absolutely. It should be tied to inflation at the maximum. There should be no reason that rent is spiking beyond belief, beyond what the renter can actually afford.
All right, yes or no? Regarding voting, should voter registration be automatic?
Absolutely. I don't know why it's not already. It's just a rigorous process for no reason.
All right. In regards to just our freedoms, should reproductive rights be federally protected?
It should be a constitutional amendment.
All right. And lastly, should Congress pass a national privacy law?
Absolutely. I don't know why the Patriot Act even still exists.
All right, that wraps up my set of rapid fire questions. Those are more political, so the next set later on down the town hall will be more fun. So you'll look forward to that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Blessings to talk about public safety and immigration.
Okay. So some residents are concerned about crime and response times, while others worry about maintaining trust between communities and law enforcement. What federal policies would you support to improve public safety while strengthening trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve?
So we've been hearing a lot about I believe in Zoran's campaign, he was talking about it, but it's happening all across the country, that we need to start having mental health professionals in a certain sector of the police department allocated specifically to nonviolent and like domestic violence issues or certain crimes or whatever issues and situations. We should not be sending out police to deal with every single issue in the community. That's number one. Number two, like I was talking about before, a lot of collaborative effort. We need to have our police department pairing up with local organizations that have direct ties to the community. If there's a block on MLK Street, because a lot of MLK streets are extremely underfunded, often have crime, different things like that, for some reason, we should have someone there that knows the community in the neighborhood directly. We should have people that are in the community that know exactly what's going on and have been organizing around helping make that situation better. And if that doesn't exist yet, we should be reaching out to figure out how we can do so, instead of always trying to just up the police budget and put more bulletproof vests on our police officers who respond to a crime that's already happened or an issue or a situation that's already happened. We need to have people out there that are here for prevention. Prevention. That's across the board. All the issues in the government often stem around how do we respond to an issue instead of how do we prevent an issue. And I think that mentality going forward is going to provide loads more better policy discussion that we could ever have. Like I said, community organizations between police department and the community, period, point blank. That's what's going to do it. But I also think further than that a little bit. We should have the police department doing a lot more community-oriented events, right? How many times do they have to just pull people over and arrest people? It's like, it's always negative. So if you are always doing things that are negative, things that are not very fun to deal with on your conscience, like you putting this thug in the back seat or whatever you want to call them, I'm sure they're calling them that. That's not going to be doing a lot of great things to your mentality. And it's not going to make you want to go into work and you're like, I can't wait to be a police officer today. You should have direct ties to the community in events. If you're getting a whole bunch of public funding, some of that public funding should go back to holding some kind of events with the community directly. And community actually learning your name, not because you pulled them over for the third time, but because you actually gave something to their child. You were partnering with the veterans organization. You were doing this or that. And that allows the public perception, the confidence, the everything, the connection. That's what we're missing in most of these, most of our policy is connection. We're not connected to the people that we're legislating.
Okay, thank you. The next question. Some residents worry that aggressive immigration enforcement can make people hesitant to report crime or cooperate with police. How would you balance border and immigration enforcement with ensuring everyone's safety, reporting crimes, and seeking help in the community?
Well, I believe that there is no one illegal. That's first and foremost. What did I just do? No one is illegal. Why is it disappearing? Sorry. All right. No one is illegal. I think that we need to stop politicizing the immigration process, that we give, conservatives on the right this huge boogeyman to be scared of. Oh my God, the Mexican taco guy in the taco trunk might grape my child. I hopefully ICE gets them. That should not be what goes to their mind. It should be, let me get some tacos. Oh yeah, my amigo over here, he hooked them up last time. Let me get some more. We should be building connection and community instead of using the divide to fundraise. Essentially, that's all conservatives do. We need to be fixing our immigration process so that it's very fast. Just like Zoran's buses, fast and free. It should be maybe not free, but it should be very fast. It should not take years and years and years. It should take at most like 6 months maximum. The process should not be politically slow on purpose because it benefits certain people. Number two, we got to talk about the ICE detention centers. They're all for profit. Geo Group and other groups like it, they're just making money off of it. The whole incentive to have people hate immigrants or be scared of them is so that they can legally lock them up in detention centers and then work them as slaves and make money from public dollars that they get from our local governments that allow them to come in and build, and they can keep their quotas and make money. That's it. We need to stop that entirely. Get rid of them. There should be no reason any prison ever should be for profit. What is the point? The point is to be a rehabilitation place, but it doesn't rehabilitate anything. Oftentimes, it makes people even worse. By the time you get out, now you might have seen a lot of stuff that has traumatized you. You don't have mental health services when you get out. We need to make the process a whole lot more inclusive. We need to make it a lot more quick. And we need to make sure that people have the proper resources when they actually come here. You're muted again if you're talking.
I don't know who you're talking to. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Never mind. But that was about it.
Okay. I'm going to pass it back to Jaz for environment and infrastructure.
Okay. All right. So regarding environment and infrastructure, so North Carolina's 5th District residents live near more than 1,600 federally regulated facilities combined. What is your approach to ensure communities, especially in the rural and low-income areas, to make sure they aren't disproportionately exposed to pollution and environmental health risks?
Restate the question again.
Okay. So in residents in your district, they live near at least 1,600 federally regulated facilities. I just want to know what will be your approach to ensure that people in your communities, specifically in the rural and low income areas, to make sure that they aren't disproportionately exposed to pollution and environmental health risks.
So one, addressing the fact that they choose rural and poor communities on purpose because they often and typically are correct in knowing that those people do not have the representation that they deserve and that they can get one over and cut backdoor deals with those legislators to get subsidies, get tax breaks, and then not even be regulated with all the pollution and all the environmental regulations. Number two, after we've already addressed that, we need to actually have environmental reform. The Green New Deal, that needs to be passed. We need to start forcing that these companies cannot pollute to a certain extent and that they're able to clean up most, if not all of their pollution from the time it's created to the time it gets sent out somewhere. Wherever it's going, it better be, the environment better be better off than it was before. You should be giving back to the community instead of just hurting our air, hurting our water, destroying the soil. They do everything with no regard to the people that live there. So putting the people first, enforcing the regulations to disincentivize just throwing their goop and trash everywhere, that would come a long way. Then other companies that obviously want to come in, they're going to have to think about that long before. And they're going to have people that are now regulated telling them exactly what the deal is. Yeah, well, they're protected over here, brother. You're going to have to do right. And a lot of companies don't want that. We could look at I think it's SSEP I think it was some oil line that they were trying to put in. And it was going to destroy a whole bunch of forest and pollute the indigenous lands and stuff. And our regulators were actually considering it. But why? Because they think that we're not going to come out and force, which our people did come out and, stop them at least for now. But other companies will come out and come and do that. So we need to have regulations that prevent it. That's the whole name of the game.
All right. Thank you for that. So, all right. So the next question is more on the environmental portion. So we've also learned that North Carolina's 5th District isn't really coastal, but the district does tend to face flooding, especially heavy rain and strained stormwater systems. So how would you strengthen local resilience to extreme weather events that are becoming more frequent and more damaging?
Number one, we need to stop talking about these weather events as though they're 100-year storms when they're very frequent now. Like they happen like every few years, if not every year. Where there's people in areas that are more disproportionately affected by these storms, by these weather events, we need to be pouring in money and making sure that our local governments are working hand in hand with our local organizations. I know there's plenty of organizations somewhere, some way. And if there isn't, creating one, because they deserve to have proper prevention to most of these issues. If we just put in a fraction of how much we spend on FEMA to help rebuild the damage, we could prevent so much more. We would make more money in the long run. We have a surplus of money. Our whole government processes everything like it happens today. And we spend money to fix problems instead of spending money to prevent problems. We don't work for the right now. That's the problem. So working with our local organizations, getting them connected to local governments, and making sure that they're working hand in hand and they're actually fixing the problems long before the weather events come.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, so before I open it up for anyone to come up and ask you a question regarding this, everyone, we have about 44K likes, so let's see if we can get to at least 60 within the next 5 minutes. So go ahead and start power tapping. That way we can continue to stay on the FYP and get new people to come in and listen to this great conversation that we're having. Also, be sure to reshare it. You can reshare as much as you can to this live to anybody who would like to listen to this great conversation we're having as well, and repost. All right, so yes, we don't see anyone in the chat that would like to request up, but people are responding to what you're saying, specifically making comments about the western part of North Carolina having gotten out FEMA money for the Hurricane Helene. Did you want to speak towards that? Did it affect your district regarding Helene, Kyah?
I believe there was a little bit that was affected, but to my knowledge, to my current knowledge, I don't know of any areas, but I know for a fact that a lot of these areas are not being invested in for their infrastructure. A lot of them do look a little bit like 1970s still. And we need to be so that they're just as strong and durable in case something happens. We shouldn't focus on, whether or not something does happen or did happen. We need to make sure that we're just ready for it when it happens. That should be the entire focus. I want our infrastructure to feel like New Orleans after it got destroyed and devastated. Like, they had to start focusing on some of their safety systems, not actually breaking in the event like they did when some of those other hurricanes hit. So that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. All right. But and someone just said, absolutely, North Carolina is 33% rural communities. We need power and internet infrastructure. Right on that. All right. So I'll go ahead and take it over to Blessings to talk about the next topic.
All right, we're going to talk about bipartisanship and governing. So North Carolina's 5th district includes, I feel like we kind of covered this. Let me go to the next question. What issue do you believe could realistically bring Democrats and Republicans together in Congress, especially when it comes to jobs, infrastructure, or disaster response?
I think, honestly, I'm not very positive about our current federal government. I'll be real. Like I said, we know that most of them are bought and paid for by a corporation. We know that they often vote against our interests while speaking as though they're for us. And so the first thing that would bring us together is getting the corruption out. How do we do that? We eliminate Citizens United. We start doing election reform. We start creating levers so that people can have recall elections if their representative was an absolute liar. Having people that come and talk to and speak to your needs and then go and vote against your interests. You should have a way to go ahead and have them do a special election. Yeah, get them out. Yeah, you lied. I see what you're getting into. And having ways to prevent you from being what you could typically find in this current Congress, which is a corrupt piece of for lack of better words. We need to eliminate the corruption so that people are actually getting to Congress and speak to us and create legislation that actually helps all of us. How many times are we going to have all these arguments about how we should do this or do that? Well, most of the arguments are just theater. They don't really believe that we shouldn't have gun reform. They see the 500 mass shootings that happened in 2025. They see the 10 more that just happened in 2026, right? It happens basically every day, if not more than once, and only a fraction of them get talked about. They see it. I'm sure that hurts their conscience, but some donor, some NRA, someone is speaking to them and giving them more money and resources than we could ever do as constituents, at least constituents that are disaffected, disillusioned with the current state of affairs. I think once we eliminate that, Medicare for all, that should be a no-brainer. I mean, who is really honestly not wanting us to be able to afford Medicare for all? Looking at our budget, if budget's the most important priority and we're spending so much money and there's all this debt, Medicare for all will make us spend so much less. We have so many more people getting the care they need, spending less money per year, having more money in their pocket, complaining less, having less mental health crisis because there's services now, it's all invested in. All of that will wrap up if we have representation that's not bought out.
Okay, thank you for that. Wow. So how do you plan to represent people who didn't vote for you without compromising your core values?
Restate the question again.
How do you plan to represent people who didn't vote for you without compromising your core values?
So, like I had mentioned before, I want our People's Assembly and whatever other events, meet and greets, whatever, to include these people because at the end of the day, as long as we agree on the destination, trust me that I'm trying to make the path there make the most sense for our money. I'm not trying to just spend money for money's sake. I'm not just giving money out to the Black community, as I'm sure many conservatives might be scared of, because that's a lot of the reason why they vote against certain things. There was just a news article about New Hampshire educator talking about segregating schools so that they can actually invest in cool stuff for their schools again. Just racism. It's at 7:00. I'm a little late.
We didn't hear what you said. Say it one more time.
I have an endorsement meeting to get to right now. They're voting on it.
Okay.
So I need.
We can't hear you when.
He just said that he had an endorsement he has to go to, and he's running behind.
Oh, okay. It kept cutting out for me. I don't know.
But I'm not sure if he's leaving or it's just a quick pause. But
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. If he was just taking the call or. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in the meantime, it looks like Kyah is still on the line with us. So it looks like he may come back. He didn't disconnect from the live. So everyone, how you are feeling thus far from just hearing the conversation with Kyah? Okay. Are you back? Oh,
I apologize.
We thought you had to actually leave. So it was just a call.
I do. They are starting an endorsement right now. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this town hall was going to be this long. And I kind of forgot.
For an hour and a half.
The endorsement was at 7.
Okay.
Oh, I apologize. It's
okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right. Well, hopefully you'll come back soon and finish up with us.
Definitely invite me again.
Yes, we do have another roundtable a roundtable discussion with candidates like you next Sunday. So be on the lookout for that email and to join other candidates on. Yes, and then good luck on your campaign.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Sorry I had to bounce out, but
all right.
Please.
Have a great day.
All right, thank you for coming.
Email.
Right. You were awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Great questions. I'll be thinking about a lot of these.
Thank you for coming.
You.
All right, see you later.
All right. Blessings, did you want to go ahead and open it up for anybody who want to have thoughts about the conversation tonight?
Sure, we can do that. We have a little time left.
Yes, anybody would like to come up, feel free to give us your thoughts. We also want to open it up for anybody who would like to give us suggestions on our next town halls. If you want to see something different in the format of us doing these town halls, we are open to any criticisms, suggestions, comments. Feel free. Hi, Ayana.
Hi, Jaz. Hi, Blessings.
Hi, Ayana.
Hi.
Listen. I love it when the Utes get involved in politics. I love their youthful ideas. They're so beautiful.
You got to pick a side. This both sides are bad thing is not where it's at. It's not it. Because clearly both sides are not bad. It's not. I mean, if you're looking at what's happening in current events, it just, that argument does not pass muster for me. I didn't want to challenge him on that because, we try to keep it cute here. But that both sides are bad. But meanwhile, you're trying to appease both sides with your policies. And that thing he said at the end about, oh, they think that I'm just getting money for Black people. Come on now, dude. No. Either you can't be concerned with what people think about what you're doing with your platform unless they support you. If they don't support you, so what? What do you care what they think?
But we're gonna
Ayana.
Yes, but
sorry.
I think we need to probably talk about this. We definitely gonna have to have this discussion a little later. But we just wanted, go ahead.
I would have queried him on this if he hadn't left. So I'm not saying anything I wasn't going to say to him. But you're right. Okay. I would have asked him why he's doing the both sides thing. But you're right. It's fine. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hey everyone, let there be peace on earth.
Okay, no problem. Hi, Vance. How are you? What are your thoughts on the town hall tonight? If you want to give us some thoughts about, you've been in our town halls plenty of times thus far. So how have you been enjoying the town halls thus far? Do you have any suggestions or comments about anything that we can improve on?
I like listening to the candidates. I like their different answers. I also, from my perspective as somebody who's running, I like listening to them in terms of like getting to know them and like who I'm going to be like working with in the future. I think that's an interesting perspective. Making sure that our priorities align is something that I'm definitely interested in as a candidate running, when I'm listening to other candidates, even when I'm just talking to them regularly. I think making sure that our priorities are aligned is something that's super important, to make sure that we're all coming into this and we have the same idea of what needs to be done for the greater good of the people is something that I'm definitely taking note of. So I definitely have my favorites, and there's definitely some that I'm like, no, I don't think that's going to work out. Like, I don't know. But I do want to say to this particular one, or really all of them, with that, I think our core values, all of us, needs to be putting humanity first. It has to be putting the people over profit. It has to be putting the people over power. It has to be allowing the system to work for the people and not the people working for the system. So when we're listening to people talk about their plans and their vision, I think and especially when it comes to talking about the other side and how we're gonna try to win over Republicans. Ayana, I definitely agree with you there. I don't really care if they want to support me. If they don't see the vision, then it doesn't matter, because my core value is humanity first. So whatever I think is, or not even me, but whatever we decide to enact as policy to help the people, that's the core of it. So it's gonna help them no matter how they feel about me. So I always think about that like that, because it does have to be where we're putting the people first. That's what this entire thing is about. And I will also say to the comment of the both sides bad thing, I definitely believe that, at least from now, what I'm seeing in this moment in time, where we're seeing everybody's masks come off throughout the entire establishment, we're seeing heroes and villains emerge and everybody's true character is showing. I definitely see that there is a lesser evil. Now, one is definitely better for the people, but look at the world around us. Look at how we're living. The record-breaking profits for companies, but people are struggling and becoming homeless, and you're trying to pay their bills and having medical problems. We can see that, yes, one is better for the people ultimately, because if we only had the Republicans in power, we'd have slavery again. You know what I mean? So one is better for the people, but there is a lesser evil of the two for sure, nonetheless. But I won't say both sides bad, but there is one that's lesser evil. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
For sure.
All right. Thank you all for coming up. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this on out to talk about what is coming up next for our vote counts. So we want to invite everyone to our next town hall. That will be with Mitchell West Called. Mitchell is running for Congress in North Carolina's 10th Congressional District. So that will be held on next Tuesday at January 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, our next roundtable discussion is, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, sorry, tonight.
I'm sorry, tonight. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm sorry, it's next tonight. I said next Tuesday. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It is tonight, right after this. We do have a double hitter, so forgive me. So that would be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please be on the lookout for that. Also, our next roundtable will be next Saturday, January 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those who are not familiar with our roundtable discussions, it will be a collective of candidates, just like the candidate that we had tonight, who will come up and talk about just everyday topics. We will have guided discussions about current events and policy questions. So we have had several thus far that have been great. So be on the lookout for that as well. Also, there will be another town hall on Friday, which is tomorrow, with Nikki Porcher. Nikki Porcher is running for Georgia Labor Commission seat. So that will be held tomorrow night as well. So we do have a full lineup for the rest of this month. That means everyone's campaigns are up and running and going. So we have a full month ahead of us. So be sure to stay tuned with OVC. All right, with that being said, I want to thank the candidate, Kyah, for being here and having this great discussion with us. I want to thank our Vote Counts for hosting this platform for this wonderful conversation. And I also want to thank Blessings for being here with me moderating. It has been a pleasure. And last but not least, the participants and our hardworking OVC team. If it wasn't for our team getting those emails out, reaching out, collaborating with a great time to talk with them, corresponding with their campaign managers, and just putting out quality content in general. The things that we do on the back end does not go unnoticed. So I am thankful for our team. Little small mistakes or not, you are working hard and it doesn't go unnoticed. So with that being said, everyone, as people want to know about OVC, we are also known as our Vote Counts. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure that every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we're building a stronger democracy. So with one informed vote at a time, please join us, because your vote is your power. And until then, have a great night. See you.